Most homeowners do the same thing before every mow. Walk to the shed, pull the cord, start cutting. That is it. That is the entire pre-mow routine. No check, no inspection, no 30 seconds of anything. Just straight from the door to the first pass. And every mechanic who has worked on residential mowers for more than a few years can tell you exactly what that routine produces. Not right away, not in the first season, but by year 3, by year 4, they can look at a machine that came in broken and tell you within 2 minutes whether the owner did one thing or skipped it. Today, I am going to show you what that one thing is. It is not a product. It is not a tool. It is a 4-part check that takes 90 seconds and that the owners of the 30-year machines do every single time without exception. The owners who skip it are the ones handing over $150 at the repair shop, wondering what went wrong. Check 1. The oil level. 15 seconds. Every single mow. Not every other mow. Not once a week. Every mow. Before the cord gets pulled. Before the key goes in. Before anything moves. Here is why the interval matters. Small mower engines consume oil. Not dramatically. Not in a way that triggers alarm. But a slow seep past aging piston rings or valve seals can drop the level by a meaningful amount between sessions, without a single visible leak. On a walk-behind mower, whose crankcase holds 15 to 20 ounces total, losing 2 or 3 ounces is not a rounding error. It is a 10 to 20% reduction in the oil supply the engine is relying on for lubrication. Run the engine low on a hot afternoon, and the failure chain starts immediately. Less oil means less cooling. Less cooling means higher operating temperature. Higher temperature means the remaining oil thins further. Thinned oil means more metal-to-metal contact on the bearing surfaces and cylinder walls. That contact is wear, and wear past a certain threshold does not reverse when the oil gets topped up. The damage is already done. Most homeowners check the oil at the beginning of the season and never again until the end. Mechanics check it before every customer machine gets started. The tool is a dipstick. The time is 15 seconds. The mark on the dipstick is the full line. Everything else is either fine or it is not. A paint pen dot at the full line eliminates any ambiguity about where fine ends and low begins. $2. Applied once. Never misread the level again. Check 2. The walk around. 30 seconds. Before every mow. Not a formal inspection. A walk. Around the machine. Looking at 4 things. The first is fuel. Not whether there is enough fuel to mow the lawn. Whether there is any evidence of fuel where fuel should not be. A wet spot under the machine. A fuel smell stronger than normal when approaching. A stain on the underside of the fuel tank or along a fuel line. A cracked or kinked fuel line is one of the most common causes of mid-session fires on residential mowers. One owner described his machine starting normally, running fine for 10 minutes, then producing a strong fuel smell, followed by flames at the base of the engine. The fuel line had cracked from age and sun exposure. It had been cracking for weeks before that session. A 30-second walk around before any of those sessions would have caught the wet spot beneath the fuel line before the fire. Walk around. Smell. Look underneath. 30 seconds. The second is the drive belt. On riding mowers and self-propelled walk-behinds, the drive belt is what transfers engine power to either the wheels or the blade. A belt that is fraying, cracking at the edges, or riding loose in its channel is a belt that is close to snapping under load. A snapped belt during mowing does not just stop the machine. It can catch in the deck and cause secondary damage to the spindle or the deck itself. Look at the belt before you start. Not a detailed inspection, just a visual. If it looks wrong, it is wrong. The third is loose hardware. Mowers vibrate. Every bolt on the machine is exposed to that vibration across every mowing session of every season. The most common loose hardware point is the blade bolt. A blade bolt that is not torqued properly can allow the blade to shift on the spindle, creating the imbalanced vibration that works every other bolt progressively looser over time. Professionals use a torque wrench on the blade bolt every few sessions. The minimum is a visual check that the blade sits centered in the deck opening, and a firm hand check that the bolt has not backed out far enough to move by hand. The fourth is the area around the mower, specifically the lawn itself, before cutting begins. American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons data shows that more than 253,000 people were treated for lawnmower injuries in a single year. The leading cause of projectile injuries from mowing is objects in the lawn that the blade contacts at speed: rocks, toys, wire, glass, metal, launched from the discharge chute at velocities that can break windows and cause serious injury to anyone nearby. A 2-minute walk of the mowing area before starting costs 2 minutes. The repair bill for a broken window starts at $200. The medical cost of a projectile injury starts significantly higher than that. Check 3. The air filter visual. 20 seconds. Not a cleaning, not a replacement. A visual. Pull the cover. Look at the filter. 2 questions. Is it still in one piece? And is it so dirty that light cannot pass through it when held up to the sky? Those are the only 2 failure states that require immediate action before mowing. A filter that is torn, crushed, or has a hole in it is not protecting the engine. Every particle that gets through a compromised filter acts as an abrasive on the cylinder wall. A filter so packed with debris that no light comes through is restricting airflow to the point where the engine runs rich and produces the black sooty deposits on the spark plug that mechanics see on neglected machines. Everything between those 2 states can mow, and most filters are between those 2 states on any given session. The check takes 20 seconds. Cover off, look at it, cover back on. That is it. The cleaning and the replacement schedule is a separate habit. Foam filters cleaned and re-oiled every 10 to 25 hours of mowing. Paper filters replaced every season. But those are maintenance tasks. The pre-mow visual is just the question of whether today is the day action is needed or not. One additional point that belongs here. The pre-cleaner foam layer that sits over the main filter on many engines catches the largest debris before it reaches the main filter. It is also the part most homeowners do not know exists. Pull the main cover. Look for a second foam element wrapping the main filter or sitting between the filter and the cover. If it exists on your machine, it gets the same 20-second visual. A pre-cleaner packed so solid with debris that it has become a restriction rather than a filter is one of the causes of the rich running sooty plug symptom that gets misdiagnosed as a carburetor problem at the repair shop. Check 4. The blade condition. 45 seconds. This is the check that takes the most time of the 4 and produces the most visible return on any single mow. A sharp blade does one thing to grass. It cuts it. The tip of the grass blade gets sliced clean. The cut surface seals relatively quickly. The grass recovers within 2 days, and the cut is invisible. A dull blade does something completely different. It tears. The blade contact shreds the tip of the grass plant instead of slicing it. The torn surface does not seal. The grass plant loses moisture from the torn end. The tips turn brown within 48 hours. The entire lawn looks stressed and dry, even when the soil moisture is fine. Most homeowners spend money on fertilizer and irrigation trying to fix a problem that a $20 blade sharpening would resolve. The pre-mow blade check takes 45 seconds and requires one step. Disconnect the spark plug wire. This is the step most homeowners skip because it feels like extra effort. The American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons documented 10,000 lawnmower injuries to children under 19 in a single year. The most common mechanism is a running blade contacting a hand or foot during a maintenance task performed without disconnecting the ignition source. Disconnect the spark plug wire before getting near the blade. Every time. With the wire disconnected, tip the mower on the correct side. Air filter side always up. Look at the blade edge. A sharp blade has a visible bevel. Clean, without nicks or flat spots. A dull blade has a rolled edge. The bevel disappears and the cutting surface looks rounded rather than angled. Small nicks from gravel or debris contact are visible as chips in the edge. Any of those conditions means the blade needs sharpening before the next session. Not necessarily before this one. A single mow on a slightly dull blade will not damage the lawn irreparably. But a single mow on a badly nicked blade that is also vibrating from imbalance is an hour of extra load on the spindle bearings that those bearings will eventually reflect in a repair bill. One more thing while the blade is visible. Look at the blade itself for cracks, not in the cutting edge, along the body of the blade. A cracked blade can fail catastrophically under load. A section of steel blade spinning at 3,000 RPM that separates from the rest will go somewhere. It will not stay in the deck. A cracked blade is a replacement blade before any further mowing. No exceptions. Here is what all 4 of these checks have in common. None of them require mechanical training. The oil check is a dipstick. The walk around is a walk. The air filter visual is 30 seconds without tools. The blade check requires disconnecting one wire and tipping the machine on its side. The combined time across all 4 is 90 seconds. That is the number. 90 seconds before every mow. The machines that hit 500 hours, 800 hours, 1,000 hours, the ones that are still running when the owners are telling their grandchildren about them, those are the machines where someone did 90 seconds before every single cut. The machines in the repair shop in year 3 are the ones where that 90 seconds was skipped 200 times in a row, and every skip added a small amount to a bill that eventually arrived all at once. But here's what most homeowners never see coming. There's one failure that shows up even when all 4 of these checks are perfect. It doesn't start in the engine. It doesn't start in the deck. It starts in the fuel system. Slowly, quietly, over weeks and months. Nothing sounds wrong. Nothing looks wrong. Then one morning the cord pulls smooth. The engine turns over, and it just won't start. In the next video, I'll show you exactly what's happening inside that fuel system, the early symptoms almost everyone ignores, and the warning signs that tell you a mower is heading toward a no-start failure, while there's still time to stop it. Check it out next.